Cook County in the 1970s was a restless urban sprawl, and neighborhoods like Norwood Park hid ordinary lives and darker secrets. John Wayne Gacy Jr., a Chicago area contractor and civic volunteer who performed at charity events as Pogo the Clown, cultivated a polished public image, firm handshake, civic center smiles, a Democratic precinct captain and fundraiser, while a grim pattern formed. Between 1972 and 1978, at least 33 young men and boys vanished from suburban streets, bars, and transient routes, leaving desperate families and baffled investigators scrambling for leads. Gacy rented a home at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township, where neighbors remembered community barbecues and yard work that masked the mounting absence of local youths. Police initially treated cases as runaways, gang activity, or transient disappearances across Cook County. Miscommunications between departments and overwhelmed detectives slowed recognition that a single predator might be responsible. Rumors spread. Parents, Marlon and Sylvia Pritzlaff and Gerald and James Kimmel, pressed for answers as missing person reports piled up. The scale of the disappearances erased young faces from families' lives and created a tense atmosphere of fear and suspicion. Quiet hints of horror surfaced. Blood on a carpet, a man who liked to entertain children, a public persona that would soon be revealed as monstrous camouflage. Investigations were only beginning. In the years after 1972, dozens of young men and boys disappeared across Cook County. Many of those cases were recorded as runaways, transient drifters, or victims of street violence, and departments often gave reports only cursory attention as they juggled resources. Families like the Piests, the Kimmels, and the Pritzlaffs kept pressing patrols and detectives for answers, while a handful of tenacious officers tracked fragments, last seen times, late-night bar sightings, faded license numbers, and recurring descriptions of a cordial, well-dressed man. Patterns that would later prove chilling went overlooked until December 11, 1978, when 15-year-old Robert Bobby Piest of Des Plaines vanished after saying he had accepted work from a contractor. He was last seen speaking with a stranger and never came home. A business card for PDM contractors found in connection with Piest's disappearance bore the printed name John Wayne Gacy Jr. and pointed investigators to 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township, turning one missing teen case into a pivotal lead. Detectives in Des Plaines and Cook County re-examined files from 1972 through 1978 and found unsettling overlaps. Victims who left jobs, bars, or parties with men promising work or rides, absences written off as rebellious youth, and similar physical descriptions. Gacy's public persona, civic volunteer, Pogo the Clown, Democratic ward committeeman, suddenly looked like calculated camouflage. Subscribe. Maybe it will help us solve the case. Local media attention and frantic families intensified pressure on police, and a few persistent investigators refused to accept scattered explanations, pulling timelines, employment records, and vehicle logs together. By late December, suspicion had sharpened into a focused investigation. Routine paperwork evolved into a concentrated probe aimed squarely at one suburban house and the man who lived there, propelling the inquiry toward a grim confrontation. Within days of Robert Bobby Piest's disappearance, investigators from the Des Plaines Police and Cook County detectives put 8213 West Summerdale Avenue under surveillance, cataloging comings and goings, tailing John Wayne Gacy Jr. to job sites, and photographing his Plymouth and work van. Interviews with acquaintances, former employees, neighbors, and clients produced a tangle of circumstantial leads. A PDM contractor's business card, witnesses who remembered Gacy offering work to young men, and accounts linking several missing youths to the same well-dressed contractor. Detectives compiled employment records, vehicle logs, phone records, and matching physical descriptions that coalesced into probable cause. A Cook County judge signed search warrants late in December 1978. On December 21, 1978, officers moved in to arrest Gacy and execute those warrants at his Norwood Park home. The arrest was clinical. The search that followed was grotesque. The next day, December 22nd, investigators forced open the narrow crawl space under the house and began uncovering a nightmarish cache. Compressed, decomposing, and blood-stained human remains packed into soil and cavities beneath the floor. The crawl space produced multiple sets of bones, clothing fragments, personal effects, and tied bindings that matched missing person reports. In the weeks that followed, divers and recovery teams combed the Des Plaines River, pulling additional bodies and matching them by dental records, fingerprints, and family identification. The grisly physical evidence, bodies in the crawl space and corpses recovered from the river, shifted the case from suspicion to grim confirmation, and concentrated investigators on motive, timeline, and the criminal prosecution that would follow. On December 21, 1978, police arrested John Wayne Gacy at 8213 West Summerdale Avenue in Norwood Park Township. What had been suspicion quickly hardened into relentless, procedural brutality. During long interrogations, Gacy moved between denials, evasions, and partial admissions. He alternately blamed accidental asphyxia during sexual activity, claimed some deaths were unintentional, and at times offered chilling clinical details that matched recovered evidence. Forensic teams from the Cook County Coroner's Office worked methodically. Odontologists compared dental records, fingerprint technicians matched prints from police and family files, and recovery crews cataloged clothing, jewelry, and personal effects pulled from compressed, decomposing remains in the crawl space and from bodies dredged from the Des Plaines River. Investigators tied Gacy to the disappearance of 15-year-old Robert Bobby Pizest and then identified dozens of other boys and young men. Each identification stitched victims back into names, dates of disappearance, and last-seen accounts, turning anonymous horror into verifiable homicide. Witnesses who had seen Gacy with young men came forward. Former employees, neighbors, and patrons at suburban bars described a pattern of offers of work, rides, and invitations to the house. Physical evidence and testimony converged. Ligatures, binding marks, bloodstains, and consistent wound patterns that did not match claims of accident. Prosecutors assembled a cold, specific case of who, when, and where, with timelines tracing murders between 1972 and 1978. Gacy's inconsistent statements, the grim forensic ledger, and mounting witness testimony converted investigative momentum into formal homicide charges and a capital prosecution. The courtroom would soon force a grotesque catalog of deaths to confront the man who had once been a civic mascot and party clown. The 1980 Cook County trial became a brutal, methodical public unmasking of John Wayne Gacy's crimes. Prosecutors laid out a web of forensic evidence: dental identifications, fingerprint matches, clothing fragments, ligatures, and reconstructions connecting bodies found beneath 8213 West Summerdale Avenue and in the Des Plaines River to disappearances between 1972 and 1978. Families, including the Piest family, delivered harrowing testimony about last sightings and lives shattered by loss. Former employees and patrons recounted offers of work and rides and described Gacy's Pogo the Clown persona. Medical examiners testified to asphyxia, strangulation, and binding marks, while recovery teams cataloged compressed, blood-stained remains. Defense psychiatrists argued insanity, but prosecution experts maintained Gacy was sane and aware of his actions. Gacy alternated denials with clinical admissions on the stand. The weight of forensic proof and eyewitness testimony proved decisive. On March 12, 1980, a Cook County jury convicted John Wayne Gacy of 33 counts of murder, and on March 13, 1980, he was sentenced to death. The verdict and sentence provided legal closure and a grim public reckoning with the scale of the atrocities, sparked enduring debate over investigative failures and capital punishment, and began decades of appeals that culminated in his execution on May 10, 1994. After John Wayne Gacy's March 1980 conviction and death sentence, his case produced decades of appeals that finally ended with his execution on May 10, 1994. The legal chapter closed, but the wounds remained. Families like the Piest family and dozens more carried lasting trauma, shattered households, and unanswered questions about missed chances to stop him. The lurid killer clown label fixed a sensational image in popular culture, and that image has complicated how we remember the victims and grieve them. The investigation also exposed serious failures in interagency communication and record-keeping. Those failures led to changes: improved missing person protocols, stronger forensic identification methods, dental comparisons, fingerprint matching, and later DNA profiling, and the development of centralized databases. Media coverage shifted toward both sensationalism and forensic detail, while the trial and execution reignited debates over capital punishment and the criminal justice system. The case's legacy forces a hard question: how many safeguards must fail before we finally listen?